What's up, True Crime World? You're here with Luminal on the Wall. I'm Becky.
And I'm Bevy. And today's case is about 4 young university students whose lives were tragically and brutally taken from them in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, from the comforts of their own home. This is the case of Kaylee Gonsalves, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. Listeners' discretion is advised.
What's going on, our true crime family?
Hey, everyone.
Hey, Bev.
Hey, Becky.
How art thou?
Thou art well.
Good to hear.
Yeah, I'm doing good, and I'm excited to read you this case today because
Bevy wrote it.
I wrote it, guys. I've been super intrigued by this case for a very long time. I think, honestly, it's so funny. I hear a lot of, true crime stuff on TikTok.
Yes, you do.
And then I'm like, ooh, I gotta look into that. And I think for the past, almost year, I've wanted to do this case. And I finally was like, hey, I'm gonna write it because I have time. And this case will not disappoint you guys. Currently, the trial for this case has not started. So I do want to give just a precursor that the suspect in which we are talking about has not been prosecuted as of yet. So we'll leave it up to you to kind of decide whether I don't know what was going on with my voice there, but we will leave it up to you guys to decide whether you think he's guilty or not.
Yeah, and then when the trial actually happens in 2025.
Yeah, June 2nd of 2025.
We will be all over that shiznit.
Yeah, you better believe it.
Yeah.
So with that intro, shall we get into this case, Becky?
Oh, I think we shall.
All right. So I personally think that I could speak for many people when I say that the thought of not feeling safe in your own home, especially when you're asleep and vulnerable, is scary.
Truly one of my biggest fears, Bev.
Yeah, no doubt. You always make me lock the front door when I come in.
It's 2 in the afternoon. I'm like,
lock that
door.
Exactly. I doubt it's an uncommon fear. In fact, I would probably go as far to say that this fear is widespread enough that it probably isn't uncommon for people to have some form of defensive tool by their bed or check the locks on their doors multiple times before going to bed. I feel like it's probably pretty likely that we have all been traumatized by some horror story or true crime docuseries at some point in our lives, Rebecca.
Oh, that we have. While Jamie was working night shifts for a while, I slept with a nail file beside my bed.
Oh my
Although
gosh.
arguably probably the most useless
that is
item
a little useless,
in my house.
Mm-hmm.
But I was in bed and I was fine going to bed.
Thing to me, or the bathroom's right there.
Yeah, the lights were off downstairs, so I didn't want to go downstairs and get a weapon. So I said, "What could I use that's in my bathroom?"
Well, that's crafty.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
You can do some damage to an eye.
Yeah, to an eyeball. Yeah, I mean, listen, you are a strong little lady.
That's right.
Your nail file would pack a punch.
Yes. Yes, it would. No one will want to mess. They'll rue the day
that they came into your home.
Yes.
Absolutely. So I honestly think, though, that even though we all take these precautions to keep ourselves safe, sometimes there's just evil that is lurking in the shadows that counteracts any precaution we might take. And regrettably, this chilling reality became all too apparent in the early hours of November 13th, 2022, in Moscow, Idaho, when 4 young adults' lives were tragically and brutally taken from them and their loved ones. Prior to the murders, Moscow was known for its eccentric charm. Quirky events and characters added to the town's unique atmosphere. For instance, the town had a friendly, long-haired neighbor that they affectionately dubbed Wild Davy, who would wander through town with a pack of dogs trailing behind him. And it was just these type of distinctive features that contributed to a sense of safety and community that made Moscow a pleasant place to live. It was also home to the University of Idaho, attracting students from all over who were drawn to its intimate and character-filled environment. Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonsalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were among these students who had all found a second home in Moscow. Kaylee and Madison were inseparable friends since 6th grade, now in their senior year and living together. Xana and Ethan, a couple who had recently begun dating, were juniors at the university. At the start of the school year, Madison, Kaylee, and Xana shared a residence off campus at 1122 King Road with their roommates Bethany and Dylan. Their house, split into 3 levels, was right in the middle of Moscow's lively student scene. Despite occasional noise complaints, they were embracing their newfound independence and the energetic college life, joining sororities, making new friends, and soaking up every bit of the university experience. Madison and Kaylee's friendship, starting in childhood and going into their university years, was just a testament to their deep bond. They often expressed their affection online, sharing sentiments like, "I wouldn't have wanted anyone else to be the main character in all of my childhood stories," and "I love you more than life, my best friend forever," and more. Their close-knit relationship was evident to everyone around them, with Bethany and Dylan even referring to them as big sisters or second moms. Now, Xana, who was dating Ethan and living at the King Road house, brought an upbeat energy to the group and would light up any room she entered. Ethan complimented her perfectly, as he was known for his kind-hearted, inclusive nature. It seemed that all of these good people naturally gravitated towards one another. But even with their tight-knit group and the comfort they found in each other, they were about to face something truly horrifying in the small town of Moscow.
Welcome to Tales from the Chesterfield, the Canadian podcast about the world of true crime and haunted history. Join us, your hosts, Alicia and Kayla, every Tuesday as we explore the chilling and comedic side of Canada with no toonie left unturned. Grab your Timmies, cozy up on your Chesterfield, and let us be your passport to the captivating and the cryptic with a uniquely Canadian accent. Subscribe now everywhere you get your podcasts and don't miss a single story.
On November 12th of 2022, Xana and Ethan enjoyed an on-campus party at the Sigma Chi fraternity, heading home around 1:45 a.m. Madison and Kaylee were out at the Corner Club, which was a popular downtown sports bar, and returned home around 1:56 a.m. Dylan and Bethany, who had also been out, saw Xana and Ethan at the party. However, by 2 a.m., everyone had made it back to the King Road house, including Ethan, who was staying the night with Xana. Now, around 4 a.m., Dylan Mortensen, who was staying on the second floor, woke up thinking she heard Kaylee playing with her dog upstairs. She started hearing voices and thought she heard Kaylee say, "Someone is here." However, later on, the police wondered if it might have been Xana who had said that, since she got a DoorDash delivery around that time and her phone showed that she was on TikTok at that time as well. Either way, Dylan checked things out by opening her bedroom door a couple of times, but didn't see anything unusual. However, just a short while later, Dylan heard more suspicious sounds throughout the home. She heard what sounded like crying coming from Xana's room, which, if you remember, is on the same floor of the house as hers. And she also heard a male voice saying something like, "It's okay, I'm going to help you."
My God, Bev. I have the craziest goosebumps right now.
Do you?
Yes, like all over,
Wild.
like.
It's a very chilling scenario that's been laid out in front of us so far.
Oh,
Truly.
Yeah. And I just sit there thinking, like, if I was in that scenario, I would be so flippin' scared.
Yeah.
Just, like, not knowing, be like, that's unfamiliar to me. What is going on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised she even opened her door.
Yeah, I would probably lay there under the blankets with my, nail file.
With your nail file.
Breathing ridiculously heavily, but trying to cover it up and be like,
yeah. Your little asthma breathing. You're like,
Yeah, and just waiting. So I wouldn't have even opened the door, but oh my God, I'm actually like scared a little bit.
To know what happens?
Yes.
I know, right? So she hears this voice saying, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." And just as she had before, Dylan walks to her door and opens it for the 3rd time that night. Her heart was pounding, and she opened the door, and through the dim light, she saw a shadowy figure cloaked in black with a mask obscuring their face gliding toward her. Dylan was rooted to the spot, paralyzed by fear, unable to make a sound or move as the figure walked past her and slipped out through the sliding back door to the backyard.
It just walked past her.
Yeah. So the person walked past her. And, once the investigation starts, people really aren't sure if the person that was in the home that night saw Dylan or was just trying to make their exit. So they just said, screw it, and walked past her. So either way, no one's really sure on that matter. But yeah, the figure just walks past her.
Ugh.
And after the incident, Dylan locked herself in her room and stayed there until morning. And it actually wasn't until 11:58 a.m. that she finally called 911 to report an unconscious person in the house. Now, that's quite a long time to wait, especially after seeing an intruder in your home. And people wondered why she didn't call 911 right away, given what she heard and saw. However, one of the possible explanations that has been tossed around is that she thought the noise upstairs was just the girls still partying and mistook the person she saw for a partygoer.
Okay.
Which, to me, I'm like, that's kind of unlikely. I don't really think that one. I don't know. I don't think it stands.
I think if you're that scared, like you said, she was like rooted, she like couldn't move from fear. Like, you know something, like we haven't even gotten to the meat and potatoes of this case.
Exactly.
But she was scared enough. And so it is interesting that she didn't call.
Well,
even
to
with that,
give
like,
her
fear.
credit even, let's think of another explanation. And that is that she was so shaken by the sight of the intruder and the odd sequence of events that happened prior to seeing the intruder that she froze.
Yes.
We know freezing is a common reaction in traumatic situations.
Yeah, fight or flight, right?
Well,
or
actually,
freeze.
Yeah, fight, flee, or freeze. And given what she experienced, it makes sense that she might have frozen and been unsure of what to do. And not only that, but they were partying the night before. Maybe when she woke up, it was 11:58. Like, maybe it took that long. Maybe she was scared to leave the home or her room, right? There's a lot of different reasons as to why the call was delayed. But
for sure.
Despite the delay, investigators took Dylan's eyewitness account seriously, and she described the intruder as a taller male with a lanky stature and bushy eyebrows. This description, combined with forensic details, helped in analyzing the crime scene, which was nothing short of a freaking nightmare. Kaylee and Madison were found in their upstairs bedroom, lying together in bed, both having been brutally stabbed. And in a later interview, Kaylee's parents shared that Kaylee was found in a distressed position, slouched in a corner of the room. They noted that the room was very small, with the bed occupying most of the space. This detail led them to believe that Kaylee might have been trapped in that confined area and potentially witnessed the attack on her best friend.
My God, that is absolutely terrifying because you have no way to get out.
Well, exactly.
At that point, right? So that means she probably saw her friend die before
something happened to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she was just trapped there, right?
Brutal.
It's obviously really horrifying and heartbreaking to hear this from her parents. It's truly unimaginable what the families of the victims have had to go through since this night, and my heart truly goes out to them because these murders were 100% just savagery.
Yeah.
And it doesn't stop there.
No. But before you go on, I have to say that, the two friends sleeping in the bed, do you remember when we were younger, we would always go into each other's room and sleep in the same bed?
Yeah.
I would always make sure we would fight over who was closest to the door.
True.
Because I was like, if we're going to get murdered, you're going to go first.
Wow.
Which, that was my thought. I was so fearful though.
No, but I get it.
But I remember you making me sleep on the outside of the bed too. I don't know if it was for the same reason.
I like to sleep where I sleep in my room currently because it's furthest away from the door as well, and Craig sleeps closer to the door. So I get it.
You get it.
It's a weird fear, but it's
it's real.
It's real. So we do what we can to satiate our anxiety, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So after the officers find these girls in the bed upstairs, they go to the second floor where Xana and Ethan were discovered. They were also victims of multiple stab wounds. The scene was horrifying, and the autopsies revealed that some victims had been asleep during the attack while others had fought back, which was shown by defensive wounds. However, there was no evidence of sexual assault, which left the motive for the attack unclear to the investigators. Now, despite the savagery of the crime, there were no signs of forced entry, suggesting that the killer may have used an unlocked door or had access to the home through other means.
See, I'm telling you, you gotta lock the door at all times of the day.
Lock the freaking door.
Your doors, people.
Yes.
Not that I'm not blaming anyone or anything, but as a cautionary tale, lock your doors.
Yeah, exactly. And we still, throughout this whole podcast, we're not going to figure out how the intruder entered the home. So
really?
It's still, yeah. I mean, he did exit through the back sliding door. So would it be unreasonable to think that that's where he
got
entered?
in?
No, but there's no more information on that. I'm sure more information will come out once
the trial begins.
But as of right now, we're kind of left to just wonder. But while the investigators were combing over the home, a key piece of evidence that was found was a tan leather knife sheath with a United States Marine Corps insignia found next to Madison's body. This sheath was crucial because it pointed to the likely weapon used in the murders, even though the actual weapon was in fact missing. So investigators sent the sheath for DNA analysis, hoping that it would link both the weapon and the perpetrator.
Yeah.
In addition to the knife sheath, investigators discovered a footprint in the hallway near Dylan's room. The print matched the pattern of a Vans shoe, which was significant as it provided another piece of evidence to cross-check with potential suspects and supported Dylan's description of the intruder's movements toward the back sliding door.
That must have been so scary for Dylan to realize that she got so lucky.
Yeah, no
and
kidding.
watched the man or person who just murdered all of her friends walk right past her and leave the house.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also, why kill so many people and leave
Dylan.
her?
Yeah.
I mean, thank God he did, but why?
What? I know, it's odd.
Interesting.
It is interesting. So, from Dylan's account and the forensic evidence, investigators determined that the murders occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. Security footage from a neighboring house captured unsettling sounds around 4:17 a.m., including voices or a whimper, a loud thud, and a dog barking. This footage, which was recorded near the victim's residence, likely captured the moments surrounding the attack. So it definitely helped detectives solidify a timeline.
That is a short timeline for so many deaths.
Yeah. Well, they were sleeping, right? Like, they were truly vulnerable and probably non-suspecting.
Oh, yeah. Just like, I mean, I guess it could happen pretty quick if you're asleep.
Yeah, but as we said,
pretty quiet
like,
compare.
Moscow is like a quaint town, you know? People felt safe there. So
True.
I just don't think that anyone would have anticipated that type of evil coming into their home. You know what I mean?
Oh, God, no. No one suspects that.
Yeah, so I guess the murder did not need much time, but it's very devastating that it took, like, in the matter of, 15 minutes, like, 4 people lost their lives.
Unreal.
Now, further evidence related to the murder suspect's movements came from a video canvas that the investigators initiated. So, a video canvas is just basically asking other homes in the area, businesses, CCTV footage, all of that, just kind of taking a look at all of it.
Right.
So it's probably a lot of work for the investigators to take a look at all of that input and organize it, but they did find something from it. They saw a suspicious white sedan on video in the area at the time of the murders. The footage showed the vehicle around 3:26 a.m. traveling westbound on Indian Hills Drive. Now, traveling westbound was significant because it meant the vehicle was moving towards the King Road residence. If it had been traveling eastbound, it would have been heading away from the home. Also, this street is only about 5 minutes from the King Road residence and eventually connects to Steiner Avenue, where the vehicle is then seen around 3:28, still heading west. Now, Steiner Avenue eventually connects to Taylor Avenue, which is the road that King Road connects to. At this point, the vehicle was noted to be missing a front license plate, making it easier for investigators to identify.
Easier?
Yeah, because, like, in the footage, they see that the license plate
is missing.
So it's
right.
like they're like, oh, that's the same vehicle, right?
Yes.
From frame to frame.
I was thinking, I'm like, wouldn't it be better if they could see the license plate, Bevy?
Yeah, right? No,
but I see what you're saying.
It's like an identifying
uncommon.
feature. Yeah, exactly. It's uncommon.
Yes. I get what you're putting down now.
Yes. So the footage then showed the car circling the King Road area 3 times. Now, this repeated presence in a quiet neighborhood where vehicle traffic is minimal early in the morning clearly raised investigators' suspicions. So around 4:04 a.m., the vehicle re-enters the King Road area. The footage revealed the white sedan driving eastbound on King Road, away from the residence, where it stopped and attempted to turn around in front of 500 Queen Road, which is around the corner from the King Road home. It's only about a minute's walk from the residence. So it's just like up the street, around the corner, not far. The vehicle, after turning around, then headed back westbound on King Road, approaching the King Road home. It appeared to struggle with parking or turning around, making a 3-point turn at the intersection of Queen Road and King Road before driving east again down Queen Road. So now we have it kind of going away from the residence. But this is where I think if the vehicle did have the murder suspect in it, this is likely the point where they were trying to find a parking spot close enough to the residence without drawing too much attention.
Yeah, I agree with that. And if it's not the murder suspect, I mean, probably some terrible driver.
Or, yeah,
like
or they're
how
like
many
lost. What are they doing?
How many 3-point turns does one usually make?
Yeah, that's true. However, that being said, the next sighting of the vehicle was at approximately 4:20 a.m.
Oh, no.
And it was seen speeding southbound on Walenta Drive, heading towards Palouse River Drive.
Yep, it's for sure the murder suspect's car. For sure.
Right?
Hands down. Spoiler, it is.
Yes, and then it's even weirder because Palouse River Drive is a major road that leads out of Moscow and enters into Whitman County, Washington, eventually connecting to Pullman, Washington. It's about 10 miles away, and this is the direction the detectives believed that the vehicle was going.
Right.
So just for reference, I had to look it up. 10 miles, I was like, oh, that must be forever. No, it's like a 10-minute drive. Like it's 10-15-minute drive.
It's not far.
It's not far.
Yeah.
So this is where they think that this car is going to go. They don't have footage of him, so they start looking at footage in Pullman.
Right. Kind of, they're like, that makes sense.
Exactly.
We're going to look there. Now, one thing that you told me you were going to do, because there's a lot of streets and roads.
Yes.
And as I'm sitting here listening, I can somewhat picture it in my brain.
Yeah.
But I really can't, to be quite honest, because I don't know what the area looks like, right? So you said you were going to post something on our Instagram.
Yes.
Highlighting the direction he went.
Yeah, I'll post a Google Maps photo and just like highlight the area. Yeah,
because it seems like he was kind of casing out the residents, seeing like what's going on. Is anyone up? Or who knows what's going through his mind, but he wasn't just sitting there and watching.
No, exactly. So I think the easiest way to just like put it is if you think of a horizontal line, he drives horizontally. To get to the house, it goes south. And then if you want to go back to that Queen Road home, he has to drive up and back horizontal the other way. And it's just like King Road and Queen Road are on this corner of the horizontal. And then when he tries to escape, he goes south and to the left. So it's like he comes from the east, goes down and to the west. That's all it is. So it's like, I just did something with my hand. So yes, we're going to need the picture, you guys.
Right?
Becky's
I mean,
like,
I'm
what?
confused and I'm watching her do it.
I just wish, I know, I had to look it up because I was also confused. But then when I looked it up, I was like, whoa, this is so clear.
It's very simple.
Yeah, it's very simple. So anyways, they look into Pullman, Washington. The surveillance cameras in Pullman are then analyzed to see if they can pull up images of this white sedan. And they were able to capture the white sedan around 5:25 a.m. It was seen traveling northbound on Johnson Road, which is a road that connects back to West Palouse River Drive in Moscow.
So their hunch was right.
Yes, exactly. The vehicle continued northbound, eventually making its way back to Pullman. So it goes exactly where the investigators had suspected that it would travel. And then investigators examined extensive video footage from multiple sources in the Pullman area, revealing that the white sedan, which matched the description of the suspect vehicle, was captured on various cameras between 2:44 a.m. and 5:36 a.m. on November 13th.
The beginning and the end.
Yeah, so it's like if he had left Moscow at 2:20, he arrives back in like the Washington area at 2:45, which does make sense with our timeline, like the 10-15 kind of 20-minute area that it would take him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the footage that they got clearly showed a pattern of the vehicle's movements. It was first seen around the Washington State University area, then traveling towards Moscow, and later returning to Pullman, Washington. The consistent appearance of the vehicle on multiple cameras provided the investigators with a detailed timeline of its activity during the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. However, the police still did not have an identification of the type of vehicle, of the license plate, or the driver of the vehicle.
Isn't that wild, Bev, with like all the surveillance that they do not have a license plate. Like, hot damn, how do we not get that?
Exactly. Well,
that's terrible.
I know. It's like they have so much information, but yet so little.
So little.
So they do make further advancements in the investigation. And how they do that is law enforcement shares the surveillance footage with a forensic expert from the FBI. This expert has 35 years of law enforcement experience and specialized training in vehicle identification. And this expert used a comprehensive database to analyze the visual traits of the vehicle. Initially, he identified the suspect vehicle as likely being a 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra. However, following a more thorough review, he expanded the possible identification to include the 2011 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra model.
Oh, yeah. That was the model right before mine.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
It's a good car.
I wish I could get like a sponsorship through Hyundai because I love my car.
Yeah,
it has
I do
served
too.
me well. You know, the
Agreed.
normal. I know I've bitched about my car a time or two on here.
Especially as of late, because everything's been going wrong with it.
But you know, it's almost 8 years.
Yeah, no,
it is 8
and
years
it's
old.
Small things that have occurred, so it's like easy fixes.
Yeah,
not
Jamie's
too
been
expensive.
able to do it himself, just buy parts, and you know, it's like more like maintenance stuff. Like it's gonna happen.
Yes,
Cross your fingers it doesn't, but it's gonna happen.
Exactly.
And
it always does.
Yeah, so like Hyundai, if you want to like give me another one just for like saying how great you are, I would be so appreciative, and I'm manifesting that right now because I really could use another car.
How nice would that be, hey?
Oh God, what are they? The little cute Konas, Hyundai Kona.
Oh God, I love those ones. I want one of those.
Like, give me that bad boy.
There you go. She even has the make and model there.
Or is it a venue?
Oh God,
is it a venue?
Stop her now. Stop her now. Don't get greedy now.
I could be wrong with that. The venue is maybe not a Hyundai. So either way, they're cute as shit.
Yeah.
Anyways, carry on, Bev.
They're trusty little mobiles.
That's right. A small to mid SUV. Perfect. Oh, you mean the Elantra?
Yeah. I'm like,
the Elantras are fantastic.
To, like, get you to go back to the case. You're just like continuing on with this Hyundai rant. I'm like,
what's that phrase what's that phrase that Craig? I diverse.
I digress. Oh, man.
I digress.
I diverse. I digress. That was good. Carry on. So, anyways, on November 25th of 2022, the Moscow Police Department issued a request for local law enforcement agencies to be on the lookout for white Hyundai Elantras. And by November 29th of 2022, so just a couple days later, the Washington State University police officer, Daniel Tengo, decided to dig into white Elantras registered at Washington State University, largely because the suspect vehicle kept popping up on the university's security footage.
Ooh.
So after checking the records, Officer Tango found a 2015 white Elantra with a Pennsylvania license plate registered to a PhD student at WSU named Brian Koberger. Now, Brian Koberger grew up in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, with his supportive parents, Mary Ann Koberger, a substitute teacher, and Michael Koberger, who worked in maintenance. Even with this nurturing environment, Brian faced his share of challenges. As a kid, he was overweight and socially awkward, which led to a lot of bullying. One friend even speculated that Brian might be on the autism spectrum, saying, "I'm an Aspie myself, so I know it when I see it."
He called himself an Aspie?
Yeah.
Oh.
Kind of interesting.
Is that what?
I haven't heard that before.
No.
But I was like, it's kind of a...
It sounds cute, actually.
Yeah, it's rather endearing. So, in high school, Brian goes through a dramatic physical transformation, losing nearly 100 pounds thanks to regular workouts at the boxing gym.
Oh, wow. That is a huge high school transformation.
It is. And this major change in his appearance brought about shifts in his personality as well. Friends noticed he became more aggressive and struggled with anger issues. In fact, one short-term friendship ended after a physical altercation, which is just highlighting the growing volatility in Brian's behavior.
That's interesting that it went like so dramatic from being kind of like bullied young kid who probably doesn't stand up for himself to being like ultra aggressive. Like it goes from one end of the spectrum to the other.
Yeah, I definitely can see how kids who are bullied could go in that direction. Bullied to bullier.
Yeah.
If it works, maybe gets the attention off of them, right?
Yeah. They've gone through this transformation. They're feeling good and more confident. Maybe
they're maybe like,
arrogant.
maybe that's what the cool people do, you know?
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
They emulate how they've been treated.
Yeah.
Because that's how maybe they think they should.
Exactly. Who knows?
Who knows? Interesting, though.
That's exactly what happens with Brian, and he's not treating his friends right as a result. Now, despite these personal challenges, Brian's academic journey was marked by a strong commitment to criminology. From an early age, Brian was very interested in police movies and criminology, and that didn't change as he went on to post-secondary school. He started with an associate arts degree from Northampton Community College in 2018, and then pursued both a bachelor's and a master's degree in criminology at DeSales University. During his time at DeSales, Brian studied under Catherine Ramsland, a renowned forensic psychologist known for her work with the BTK serial killer.
Oh, I bet that was just like a dream to him.
Yeah, of course,
with
right?
That, like having that much of an interest through the majority of his life, that would be incredible.
It would be an incredible opportunity.
Yeah.
And Brian and Catherine went on to co-author Confession of a Serial Killer, the untold story of Dennis Rader, the BTK killer.
Oh shit, he wrote a book?
With her. So
he must have had a brilliant mind as well.
Yeah, I mean, he went through his undergrad, got his master's, right? So he's making his way up in the academic pursuit of criminology. Yeah.
And we also know he's working on his PhD.
Exactly. So he doesn't stop at his master's, right? So in addition to all of this, Brian also worked part-time as a security guard at Pleasant Valley School District, where his mother was employed as a paraprofessional. And in August of 2022, Brian moved to Pullman, Washington, to start his PhD in criminal justice at Washington State University. He was also a teaching assistant there. His academic focus included a research project on how emotions and psychological traits influence criminal behavior, with surveys asking questions like, why did you choose that victim or target over others? And after committing the crime, what were you thinking and feeling?
I mean, aren't those the questions that we all actually do want to know the answer to?
Yeah.
With the killers. Like, I think that is what draws us all in.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense that he'd want to know that.
It does make sense why he wants to know that, but it's very eerie to kind of put it in perspective that he could potentially be a murder suspect.
Yeah.
For multiple murders at this point. And then you have him asking and surveying people these questions prior to that. Like, that is a little bit creepy, right?
Yeah, was it something he, like, heard someone say, like, answered the question? He's like, oh, I wonder what that's like.
Maybe I should go ask questions about this, start a survey. Or was, like, he wondering it for himself? Like, had these inner desires and was like, I need to understand myself better. Are there more people that are feeling like I am?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, in the fall of 2022, Brian extended his interest in criminal justice by applying for an internship with the Pullman Police Department. In his application essay, he expressed a strong desire to assist rural law enforcement agencies in improving their methods for collecting and analyzing technological data to enhance public safety, which is pretty ironic considering a lot of the evidence obtained in this case was due to technology analysis.
Like security footage.
Like that's how his, the type of vehicle that he owned was analyzed and like identified.
Yeah.
So, and it's also what led the police to him in general. So, yeah, it's definitely ironic.
Got a whole pocket full of irony just for him.
No doubt. So, obviously, we know that a vehicle that was similar to his was identified through video canvassing and ultimately led to the identification of him. But the technological analysis of this case in relation to Brian Kohberger doesn't stop there. Because once his license plate was identified, the police discovered that Brian's white Elantra had been stopped in August 2022 near Moscow. During this routine traffic stop, officers recorded his cell phone number. This number became crucial to the technological analysis of this case because investigators were able to use this phone number obtained at the traffic stop to initiate a search warrant for the phone records from before and after the murders.
Yes.
And ended up linking Brian more closely to the crime as a result.
Hot damn,
Hot diggity.
That's crazy. Like, you know, sometimes those just routine traffic stops, like, bust the case open.
Yeah. And in this case, it was cool because they got his phone number. So they don't really have to even alert Brian that they are looking into him, right? They have his phone number and they can analyze the data based on just the fact that, like, they could give it to the government. Give it to who? Who would they give it to apply for a search warrant, Becky?
The courts.
Okay,
like
so
judge.
they go to the courts and they say, listen, we have this suspicious vehicle and we have this guy that we've identified, like, and we have his phone records. Can we get a search warrant for this in relation to this crime? They're going to be like, sure. And they don't have to alert Brian that they're even looking into him.
Oh, that's...
Which is so great, right? It doesn't give him the opportunity to flee or do anything...
or tamper with anything.
Fancy, get a lawyer or whatever, right?
Exactly.
So it's a really great scenario for the police. Now, the phone records basically revealed a crucial alignment between Brian Kohberger's cell phone activity and the route taken by his white Hyundai. Hyundai.
You did
it. We were recording this and I said Hyundai and I know it's Hyundai, but I was like, oh God, I just can't stop saying Hyundai. So I had to like stop the recording and re-record and look at me.
Doing it again.
It is what it is, guys.
We're just pushing through.
We're just pushing through at this point. Anyways, they connect his cell phone activity to the route taken by his white Hyundai Elantra on the night of the murders. The cell phone's pings corresponded precisely with the vehicle's movements, creating a significant pattern of evidence. Notably, the signal dropped off as the car approached Moscow, only to reappear and sync with the Elantra's movements once again.
Oh
my God. This pattern suggests that Brian may have turned off his phone or activated airplane mode to obscure its location, which ultimately failed miserably.
I mean, it was kind of more telling
than anything, right?
Be like, oh, I'm going to get close to the crime scene. I'm just going to shut off my phone so you can't track me while I'm there.
Yeah.
But getting there and leaving, you totally can track me, no problem.
Yeah, exactly. And then not only that, but then the phone tracks directly with the Hyundai that... There it is again, guys. It tracks directly with the Hyundai going towards Moscow and also leaving. So it's like, we also saw what your car was doing while it was in Moscow. So, like, we know that that was you.
Yeah. Because most likely who else would be driving your car? Probably no one.
Exactly.
Right?
And something else that is interesting, it's just a quick tidbit of information, is because Brian was from Pennsylvania and had just recently moved to Pullman, Washington to do his PhD, cops found out that in Pennsylvania, they don't require a front license plate. So where he was originally from, where he grew up with his family, and where his car was registered,
they didn't need that front license plate.
So it also makes sense that that license plate would not be there in all of the video surveillance.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. So getting back to his cellular data, it showed that Brian's phone also pinged off cell towers around the King Road area on at least 12 different occasions leading up to the murder.
And when you say occasions, Bev, do you mean like different days?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It showed that he was usually visiting the home either in the early morning or the late evening.
Oh God, that is so creepy.
Yeah. It suggests that Brian may have been surveilling the residence in the days leading up to the murders, potentially staking out the location to familiarize himself with the layout and the victim's routines.
Ugh. I'm like speechless right now because I feel so creeped out. Like, I have goosebumps again.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this case doing this to me?
Why is it making you get the goose pimples?
I think he just seems so evil.
Yeah, it's like messed up, right? Like
could he have been stalking them?
Well, yeah, that's what it suggests, right?
Yeah. Ugh.
And it's creepy because he's there early morning, late evening, around the times like that he probably would have wanted to commit the murder. So he's going to see what they're doing in those times to make sure that like they will in fact be there when he wants to enter their home. Mm-hmm. So yeah, altogether just creepy. So although this is extremely unsettling, I think we can take some comfort in knowing that not only did his attempt to conceal his location on the night of the murders fail, but he also failed to turn off his phone during these numerous visits to the area prior to the crime, which allowed investigators to build a case against him.
Like, are we sure he was doing his PhD?
Requesting to be in the Pullman Police Department to better enhance, like, safety when crimes are committed or whatever. Like,
with, like, the analytics and technology. That I always tell Jamie, like, when I do my research for these podcasts, I'm like, what freaking idiots take their phone on the route of the murder? They can be tracked step by step. Like, I feel like we're advanced enough and know enough about cell towers and Bluetooth connections to cars that we can safely say, don't bring your phone if you're going to commit a crime.
I think at the end of the day, Becky, people's arrogance gets the best of them. They do not think that they will even be identified.
Good point, Bevy.
Right? Like, he would be like, they have no reason to look up my phone number. How would they ever find me? You know what I mean? So that could be it. But I agree with you. It's like, in these day and age, just like, leave it at home. Turn it off hours before or even 3 days before. I don't even give a shit.
I mean, actually, like, because we are, like, we like the law. We like people getting their consequences. Take your phones with you.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Take them everywhere, actually. Yeah. Take them to the bathroom in your victim's home. I don't give a shit. Take them with you. But if you want to get away with a crime, like, what are you thinking? Now,
it gets kind of worse.
Oh, I didn't think it could.
I know. You didn't think so. But he again brings his phone with him somewhere. It's hard for me to say it because it's so freaky. So
where is somewhere?
It's just really significant, especially to true crime fans, because Brian's phone was shown to have returned to the crime scene just hours after the attacks took place.
Well, of course he did.
So the phone left his home in Pullman, Washington around 9 a.m. So mind you, this is only a couple hours after he arrived home from the crimes. So it's like it was like heavy on his mind. 3 hours later, he's like, I gotta go check it out again.
Okay, Bev, you know what? Man, I'm probably saying this too much, but I literally am just having like permanent goosebumps. Like every time you say something, it's like they just start going away and now they're back. It's really weird. But that is so creepy because Dylan was still in there alive, fearing for her life, for all the emotions.
True that, Becky.
And he was back there before she even called 911.
Yeah.
How creeped out do you think she must have been hearing that information?
Oh my gosh, I really didn't even think about that, but now that you're mentioning it, like, holy crap, right?
Yeah. I wonder if, let's say, I mean, I know he hasn't been tried by a jury yet.
Yeah, we don't even know if
Is he guilty? Is he not? We don't know. But hypothetically, let's just say he is.
Okay.
Do you think that he was aware that he left a victim behind?
2, Becky.
2 victims, I mean.
Because Bethany was on the first level.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, she wasn't,
we didn't
really talk about her too much just because she wasn't like a big part of like what happened at the time. She was asleep in her bed, but she was on the main level.
Yes,
asleep.
So both of them are unaware.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, how I know, and he walked right by Dylan. It's like, I really have no idea whether he saw or not. I don't know. Like, It's too much to even fathom, but like,
just creepy and horrible, all the bad things
going
on here. You're right, that was worse.
That is worse, right?
It is worse.
So he leaves his home in Pullman, Washington around 9 a.m. on November 13th, the exact same morning of the murders, and traveled to the King Road area in Idaho. And of course, the reason why I said it was particularly weird for true crime fans is because we all know that it's not uncommon for perpetrators to revisit the scene of their crimes. And if Brian did indeed commit these murders, he would be following this pattern that is just like
seen so often.
Yeah. So at this point in the investigation, what?
Do you know how long he was there for?
No, I do not know how long he was there for, but I assume he probably wanted to like see the cops there and everyone's reaction and like relive it and whatever. And then to his dismay, Dylan hadn't called the police or no one had. So
he's probably like standing there scratching his head, be like, did I imagine doing that?
Yeah. Or
why are there
maybe
no
thinking
cops?
like, oh, maybe I don't know what it was, but yeah.
Either way, terrible.
Either way, yes. So at this point in the investigation, while the evidence against Brian Kohberger was substantial, it was largely circumstantial. detectives required more concrete proof to formally pursue him as a suspect, so they turned to the knife sheath that they sent in for DNA analysis. Now, the results of that analysis came back with a full DNA profile, but when investigators sent the knife sheath for DNA analysis, they found no matches in the National Criminal DNA Database. So, to advance their search, they employed a novel technique typically reserved for cold cases. They submitted the DNA profile from the sheath to a private lab that specialized in public ancestry databases.
Yes.
And this approach successfully led them to, dun, 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 Bryan Kohberger.
I know some people are super skeptical about using those ancestry.
Skeptical? What was that? Whoa.
I think I just got like too excited about the ancestry database. But a lot of people are skeptical to put their DNA in the ancestry databases. You know, people get scared of the government. Are they going to use my DNA? However, for crime, I've heard like a few cases, quite a bit actually, that have been solved through this ancestry DNA.
Yes.
Because it's like a cousin of a cousin or a cousin of someone's brother.
Well, exactly.
And they can like narrow down the lineage.
And that's how they knew that Bryan Kohberger was connected and had cousins or whatever related to the DNA found at the crime scene.
Love that.
So the breakthrough came when police collected trash from Bryan's family's residence in Pennsylvania on December 27th of 2022 while he was at home for the holidays. The DNA from the trash was analyzed and compared to the DNA from the knife sheath. The results showed a match, indicating that the DNA profile was consistent with a male who could not be excluded as Bryan's biological father, with only a 0.0002% chance of a random male matching this profile. So basically, the trash from the DNA was Bryan's father's, and it couldn't be ruled out as being the biological father of Bryan.
Yeah, they're like, he's our guy.
He's our guy. And this crucial DNA evidence brought the investigation to a pivotal point. It was the solid proof the detectives needed to move forward, tightening the net around their suspect, Bryan Kohberger. Following this breakthrough, Kohberger was arrested on December 30th of 2022 at his parents' home in Pennsylvania. Kohberger had been under surveillance by the Philadelphia FBI field team for 4 days prior to his arrest. And after his arrest, investigators executed a search warrant at his Pullman apartment, where they collected a variety of evidence. His connection to the crime scene was further reinforced by items seized from Kohberger's parents' home, including a cell phone, black gloves, masks, laptops, a Smith & Wesson pocket knife, and a knife in a leather sheath. Authorities also impounded his white 2015 Hyundai Elantra, which Kohberger had used to drive cross-country to Pennsylvania for the holidays. The vehicle was dismantled for further examination with parts, fibers, and swabs that were collected for analysis. So the investigation into Bryan Kohberger remains ongoing, as we said. He has actually waived his right to a speedy trial, and so his trial is set to stand on June 2nd, 2025. He is facing 1 count of burglary and 4 counts of murder. Each murder charge alleges that he willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice aforethought, killed and murdered the victims by stabbing. So, of course, as we said earlier, as this case develops, we will 100% keep you updated with the latest information.
Absolutely, because we want to freaking know.
We want to know.
So you must want to know.
Yes. And before we end it, Becky, I did want to say that there was some information out there that a Instagram account under Bryan Kohberger was liking Kaylee and Madison's photos. So his name was under a lot of likes on their photos prior to the murder. Now, I'm not 100% sure if this was in fact Bryan himself who was liking these photos, if it was just like a random account. Like, I'm not 100% certain. There hasn't been an analysis on this. It's kind of more hearsay, but it kind of makes you wonder, like, how did he know these victims? What was his motive? They ruled out the sexual assault, right? And they didn't know him.
Yeah, and There's no reason why they should have crossed paths
Exactly.
at any point in their life.
Yeah, so what happened? Like, did he find them on social media and then stalked them? And that was the reason? You know, it's hard to say, but...
Like, did he intentionally go looking online
for a victim?
Nearby.
Yeah, exactly. So it makes you wonder, but there is no proof, and I can't wait for the trial of this case because from a lot of the information that we've heard today, I mean, it's hard not to stand by the police and believe that this is the murder suspect and that this is our guy, right?
Oh, for sure. Like, they'd have to come out with something huge
in the defense.
To make me think anything other than
that he's guilty. Right. Yeah. Exactly. So,
you know what blows my mind a little bit? And maybe it's just I'm a little unaware of why someone would choose not to have a speedy trial. Because from my understanding, and him being a smart guy, this confuses me, because my understanding is that if you have a speedy trial, you most likely want to do that so that the prosecution and the detectives, they all have to rush to get evidence, and then things, I guess in hopes, would kind of get overlooked, or the prosecution might not be as well prepared for the case. So you might have a better chance.
That being said, the information in the affidavit, which is where I got a lot of this information, is pretty damning. I mean, it has the vehicle, like, video evidence. It has the phone evidence and the search warrants for that. Yeah. And it has the DNA.
Right. So maybe on the flip side, he actually wanted a speedy trial, so his defense team.
Or he didn't want a speedy trial, so that his defense team had time.
Yes.
To come up with something.
Exactly.
They were trying to say, I know, like, I read an article that they were trying to say that Brian had an alibi, and the court system had, like, they had to send in this alibi really quickly to see if he was, like, if he has a foolproof alibi, then, you know, maybe they don't really have a case. Yeah. But he said he was, like, nature walking.
Like hiking?
Hiking or, like, sky viewing, you know, or something like that at the time.
Oh, yeah. Like, a lot of people do that at, like, between 4 and 5 in the morning?
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, I don't think they have a lot to defend him on.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So I think that's probably why.
They need all the time they can get.
They need all the time they can get, yes.
Figure something out.
100%. So
that makes sense.
That's all I have for you today, Becky. This was the sad, sad case of 4 young adults whose lives were taken truly too soon. And our thoughts and our hearts go out to all of the families that were affected by this, because losing your children that young, I mean, no parent wants to outlive their children, right? So,
no,
especially with such a tragic ending to all of their lives, which held so much promise. So, anyways, I'm just thinking of the families that were affected by this.
Yeah, of course, our thoughts and our prayers go out to you all.
Yes. So, thanks for listening.
Thanks for sharing, Bev.
And just your weekly reminder to download our weekly episodes, follow us on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever streaming platform you listen to us on, and give us a follow on our social medias. You can find us at Luminol on the Wall. Can't wait till next week.